Okay, good afternoon and welcome to our today's lesson. Today we shall be dealing with the livestock production 5, that is poultry. Now, and just a brief introduction before we go directly to our topic today. I'd like us to review what is poultry as we stand in Form 1. Back in Form 1, we said that poultry these are domestic birds which are being reared at home, of which then in the category of the poultry, we have a variety of them which falls under the subheadings of the poultry. For instance, in the poultry, we have a hen, two, we can also have a cock, and we have a chick. In Form 1, 2, we defined that a hen, this is a female, mature bird. That is what we defined an hen as. Of which again we defined a cock as a male mature bird. That is now, in general, you can call this like the opposite of the same. That is the opposite of a hen. We can say it is the hen. And then a chick is a young one. A young one of a band. Now, when we say a young one of a band, this now it stands for of whichever sex. May it be a male or else a female. That is what we defined a chick like. So today we shall go direct to our topic, that is livestock production 5, the poultry, and then we see what it comprises. 1. Now, basically on our area of coverage today, we look at poultry. A brief overview of this topic, we shall first begin by looking at what is a poultry and then the egg, of which again in the egg, that is the egg, under the egg, we shall look at the parts of the egg. After knowing the part of the egg, we still need to know the functions of the egg. Again, after the functions of the egg, then we shall try to see the process in which the egg undergoes so that it can result into a chick. The processes, and this process generally we can call it the incubation period of an egg. Now, it is this process which the egg undergoes so that it can result into a chick. A poultry, this is a domestic bird which is mainly kept for two major purposes. That is the purpose or else the reasons as to why these poultry, or what we are calling a domestic birds, they are kept for. 1 is because of the provision of the meat and also the eggs, whereby the domestic birds which are kept for the production of the meat, they are called the broilers, and the ones which are kept for the production of eggs are called the layers. Okay, then after that, after this, we go directly to an egg. Egg, this is just a product of an egg, whereby a mature hen has the ability to lay an egg. An egg can be laid whether it is fertilized or not fertilized, but for now, let's first look at the various parts of the egg. Okay, parts of the egg. 1, we shall start with the very, very outer part, which is the shell. We have the shell. Another part is the shell membrane. We have the shell membrane. The other part is the egg whites. After the egg white, we have the airspace. We have the airspace, and again we also have the yolk. And lastly, we have the kalasa. These are some of the parts of the egg, of which now we shall go directly into the functions of the various parts and or else the law which they serve in an egg to result into the production or else to enhance the incubation period. Okay, we are seeing the part of the egg. This is now just a simple diagram of an egg and the various parts. We said the outer part of an egg is the shell, and then after that it is surrounded by the shell membrane. We have a calasa. We shall look at the functions of all of them. We have here the airspace and also the albumen. So for now, let's go direct into the various parts and their functions. Okay, the first part which we are going to start looking at it is the shell. As you can see, the shell, it is the outer covering of the egg. This shell is made up of two minerals, which is the calcium and also the phosphorus. These are the two mineral components which makes the egg shell. And again, it is because of the presence of these minerals which makes the shell to be very hard. Now we look at the functions of the shell. The shell of an egg serves the various functions. One, it gives the egg its shape. It gives the egg its shape. That is the oval shape of the egg, which you can see. It is because of the presence of the shell. Two, it gives protection to the inner content. The inner content, right from the shell membrane up to the yolk, it is because of the presence of the shell, which now becomes like a barrier to protect the other inner part of the egg not to be damaged in case of any mechanical injury. Another one is that it allows the gaseous exchange since it is porous. The exchange of the gases, it is because, as you can see at this end, we have the airspace. At this point, or else within the shell membrane, we have the pores. These pores are the ones which enhances the exchange of gases in and out. For instance, especially when during the incubation, the developing chick, it requires some oxygen. In this, then, the oxygen is going to get inside, and then the carbon dioxide, it is going to get outside. This is now the function of the shell and being porous enough. Okay, now we have seen all the functions of the shell, and then we go to the next part, which is the shell membrane. Just immediate after the shell, we have the shell membrane. They serve the functions of the shell membrane, and that's one of the shell. They are similar but at a different level. For instance, if we look at the functions of the shell membrane, one, it is to protect the inner contact. Protection of the inner content. If you can remember, we said one of the functions of the shell, it is to protect the inner content. What happens now? The shell membrane enhances protection of all other parts apart from protection of the shell. The other function is that it holds the egg contents. Okay, what we are calling the egg content, it is this other part, especially the egg white and even the yolk. This other content, it is what it is being earned, or what the shell membrane enhances the earning of it. Then for today, we shall stop there. Next time, we shall start with the egg whites. Thank you for listening.